What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Neg Entropy Chronicles. Before we get started, remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and click that notification bell to be alerted anytime I drop a new video. So, this is part 3 of I'll demand a mandatory paternity test for all my kids. Now that we done went through part 1, part 2, we hitting part 3 of another episode on Dragon Ball. Get to the point. So, let's not waste no more time and let's get it cracking, alright?
You can tell somebody cheating.
Very naive.
No.
That's
Something
very naive.
You ever heard of the statement that Cheetah's a sociopath?
No, first of all,
I can't agree with that because as a woman, I was cheated on and I didn't know.
Everybody's probably been in a situation where they didn't know their partner was stepping out.
You're not
cheating on you. No way you can see that. So that's a little naive.
No, I think there are signs you're not paying attention to.
17, that's naive.
That's not
I think you've overlooked
17,
a lot.
I was in a relationship where I was living with my man. He was home every day. We was sleeping in my bed every day, and he still had a whole nother relationship going on. And he was sleeping in my bed every day. There was not a day he did not come home, and he still was in a whole nother relationship.
Have you ever been cheated?
Period. Nothing was different. This is a man that took me on vacations, bought me what I wanted. There were no signs. I did not feel like I was being cheated on.
Social media, you should know. You will know.
17, you're wrong.
Not everybody goes over social media.
She loves social media.
I need to put you on social media fast. You better fast.
You know what? But let me say this, Chavis. What I'm saying is like, you know what? You stunned me with that point. I'm not gonna lie. Like I sat back, I was like, okay, bet. But what I will say is that maybe. But what I would say is that maybe it's just what I want in my man. I want a man that is strong enough and confident enough and whatever to come to me and ask me. I don't want it to be mandated. It's not an easy one, but I expect that from you. I expect it. I would just but this is what I'm saying. I would prefer that. I would prefer it. I don't want it to be just because whatever it's regulated that we have these tests. If you feel the need to have it, come to me.
Then how are you gonna feel after that?
It's gonna suck, but I still need that in my partner.
I don't know if my husband is seeing tomorrow if he come to me asking for some DNA tests.
The force is not strong with her. She literally just said he might not see tomorrow, but wants him to talk to her about it, but then preferences it under the aspect of death. You can't make this stuff up.
We had these babies together. I've been supporting you. You've been supporting me. Now you want to come up and talk about swabbing cheeks? No. Absolutely not. We fighting. That's what I'm saying. We fighting.
Just remember,
I want y'all to understand something. There's a lot of contradictory thought processes that go through people's mind. They say they want something, but they really don't. They say they want these things, but when it really comes to play, they don't play it like that. This woman is literally talking about violence against the man, but then will say that he's weak if he doesn't come talk to her. She respects it, but then she's offended, all of this, but then brings in violence. That's like a woman that says, I want a man who loves to cuddle, but doesn't like to be touched. That's the insanity that goes on in the mind of an individual like this. Sad, man. Ugh. I wish she would have said that in front of everybody and they could have been like, "Duh, what is you talking about?" Now, mind you, I don't know what they're finna say. We about to watch it together. But I'm telling you, that is lunacy. But let's get back into it.
Built like you.
Not everybody's built like you. Not every man is built like most of us that are here. You know what I'm saying? Like your expectation of every woman is because inherently you subconsciously expect all women to behave like you and think like you. That's unfortunately not the reality. And it's the same thing for us. I'm expecting for all men to want to confront their partner if they think something is wrong. I would do that because that's how I was raised, to confront things. There are people that don't do that, and I know a lot of men that wouldn't.
Everyone talks about communication.
So I can't expect for me to approach any woman and ask for the truth and get the truth, because I know not every woman was raised like women in my home. So when you assumptions are dangerous for that reason. So when you assume, oh, I'm not being cheated on, or I am getting cheated on, that's problematic. But when there's things in place that remove all doubt, it helps everyone. I'm not saying anything should be mandatory, but I think more people should definitely be more open to doing DNA testing and not getting offended when things like that are requested to them. Because at the end of the day, I think
offensive.
Sure, it could be, but you know what?
I think the thing that goes on that people will not respect and understand is that there is a privilege to knowing that a child is yours 100% from the jump. Every woman knows that the child is hers. That is a privilege that they have. Men do not. They have to literally rely on the trust that they have within the woman inherently to be that this child is mine. She would never do me like that. But history has shown us that that is not always the case. So that's why it's very important to remove the shroud of what women have been given out of respect for them versus, hey, everything's laid out on the table. Mistakes that you make, decisions that you make, all put out on the table, right? That's just what it is.
You know what's more? You know what's more? But, no.
If my husband asked me to take a DNA test, best believe after the results come back positive, I will be getting my Mercedes-Benz. I'm going on vacation, all on your dime, shopping. If you want things to go back to being normal, you're spending.
Why is it?
All right. So my question would be, if you accuse a man of cheating, you go through his phone, you see nothing's going on. He ain't fooled around or nothing. He's just a loyal dude doing his thing. What's the requirement for you then? What's the requirement? What homage are you going to pay? Because truth be told, women accuse men of cheating all the time because they got this gut feeling, so they're going to talk about it. So then what would a woman pay when she found out her man ain't doing nothing? What would you actually pay? If you go after this man, say something random, and he's like, yo, I ain't did nothing. Boom, check my stuff. Boom, none of that. Are you going to offer? Most of these women don't even offer apologies when they wild out. No accountability. So if you don't offer an apology, you don't offer nothing. So then what? What is you going to pay? Because you saying that if a man asks you and all the kids are his, he got a Mercedes-Benz, he got to cough up money because that's what you value. Not that his apology means anything. Not that you did something that even made him question it. But now he's got to pay out, right? So then what would you have to pay if you was wrong? Think about it. But let's get back into it.
Offensive to you.
I mean, if I'm in a relationship with you, especially if I'm married to you, it should be known.
Have you ever been cheated on?
Have I been cheated on yet?
So you literally just
You dodging the question. Have you cheated before?
No, but have you cheated?
Thank you.
I mean, yes, I have.
Sure.
I have cheated before. But
Are you serious?
I wasn't married.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But you've cheated before.
Yes, I have cheated before. I mean, once when I was like really young and like it was nothing. And then, recently I was in like a terrible relationship. I was very honest with him about it. It was a conscious decision.
But what if you were
didn't
pregnant?
really want to be with the person that I was with, and it was a cry for help, really.
If you said it though, then what?
That statement was very off-putting. But again, like,
Oh, she hurt your feelings.
And I didn't have a baby
doesn't
either.
matter. You still stepped out of the situation.
I was ready to have a baby with this dude.
We're not
Thank you.
We're not
saying everyone cheats.
You've
And I'm pretty sure he probably wasn't
You
thinking
trusted
like, all
someone.
right, she
You
wasn't
trusted
cheating.
someone. Somebody trusted you. You've been stepped out on.
There was no trust.
You've been stepped out on. You stepped out on someone. So things happen. That's my point. My point is you can't expect everyone to be super honest and super transparent because people are human and they hide things and
People get scared to have conversations. So I have a really good question.
And you can't expect everyone to want to clear the air if they don't even know there's air to clear. Like
Quick
you
question.
can't expect that.
So I know DNA tests are really popular here in America. Right. How big is it? I've never been to Africa. How big is it? From my assumption, a lot of people don't do it. That's not a norm, right? They
Not true.
take care of it.
A lot of
They don't
cats
have
do
the
it.
resources.
Not just the resources.
I think mentality and behavior
It's
plays a
definitely
part. And
mentality.
like the culture is like, a lot of people, a lot of parts in Africa, they do believe in sex after marriage. They don't believe in sex before marriage or whatever like
But
that.
shit happens.
Yeah, of course, shit happens. You understand? So when the norm is for people to get married and then have sex, then people automatically think
that assumption. Yeah, they kill that assumption.
Yeah, that, okay, this child can't. Obviously, this child.
Yeah, but not just that. I mean, I could. I'm speaking from Yoruba culture, right?
Right.
You're
Bunch of liars and cheaters.
Wow. Excuse me. So you
see that's
wow.
That sounds like a personal projection.
Bunch of liars and cheaters.
Not just that. I mean, I could. I'm speaking from Yoruba culture, right?
Right.
Bunch of liars and cheaters.
Wow.
Why is it always okay to insult any man? He said, I come from a Yorubian culture, a bunch of liars and cheaters. That's disrespectful. Not once did the men ever disrespect the women. But he says, this is the culture I come from. And you disrespect the culture, which means you're inherently disrespecting this man. You feel me? And that's just, why? What was the need for it?
See, that sounds like a personal projection based on your experience. Because I can say the same thing about Ghanaian women.
Oh, Nigerian, my bad.
Sugar daddy Ghanaian women. You know what I'm saying? That got here. I like how you fixing your blouse, man. And they light skin older man.
It's not me, so.
Okay. I'm just saying, we can generalize too. But going back to what I was saying about Yoruba culture. There are people in rural villages that have their own way of gauging infidelity and all that stuff. They have their own traditional ways of discerning who's who and what's what in relationships.
So how do you guys find out whether the child is, whether you're the father or not, if you guys don't really do DNA tests?
Back in the day, they would use traditional means to do that. They would use like traditional means like juju, or they would see what we call babalawo.
Doesn't work.
I'm learning something.
Supernatural.
Or supernatural.
Alternative medicine. Alternative medicine.
And
you go to a witch doctor.
It's not like real though.
No, it's real.
Is it accurate?
I can't tell you.
There are elements of it that I have seen personally that I could not debunk. And it's something that is not meant for me to understand, so I don't want to understand it, all of it. But I will say that there are
probably freaked them out.
World that I have seen with my own eyes.
And you don't question it.
We definitely have native doctors, babalawos, and things like that the community would use as resources when there were things that needed to be understood in the metaphysical space. So that would be a very good example of, hey, I don't know whether this kid is mine. Can you ask the god of fertility, who is responsible for, this child? Is it me, or is it Kasali, the farmer down the street that always winks at me weird when I'm at the market because, he has his secret with my wife that I don't know about, and I know something's crazy. So you got to talk to the gods and find out if Kasali is my son's father, so I can chop his head off.
But let's really talk about it, right? I'm trying to be serious. That was funny. When you talk about, even in a traditional viewpoint from the motherland, right? From the motherland, we're talking about it from that aspect. Even though you couldn't mess around, couldn't do none of that before marriage. They say, well, things happen. But if you got married, it was supposed to be one-on-one. But they still had these doctors that were able to determine if the child was yours or not, which means that no matter in time, history, traditionalism, all of that, there were means to figure out what was really popping off, and they proved at times that so-and-so was not the father. Do you get the no matter what time of the centuries, no matter what technology existed or whatever means that you wanted to use, they all still bridged together to determine that somebody, aka the woman, is lying. Which means that it's mandatory, that it needs to be, because there are people who can play the game. They can just play the game. It is what it is. You can't be mad at it. It doesn't need to be mandatory. Well, there are things that we are calling out right now that are proven so. Paternity fraud, people going to prison, people paying money to kids that aren't theirs for 18 plus years. Emotional investments. Like, people don't understand what women can put you through if they don't like you. There are women who hate men and just be drilling this dude out. Come to find out he's not the father. If you ever think that I'm full of it, just go watch the Paternity Court. Watch what men go through on that show. Now, you can say, oh, that's not real. it's a reflect. Is it, what do they say? Is it art reflecting life or life reflecting art? That's all you need. But let's get back into it.
For however thousands of years, they've been able to tell, you know, King Mundungu's wife was stepping out on King Mundungu, and the only reason why they found out is because they clapped their hands, rubbed chalk together, threw it in the air, and it showed the person that she actually had the kid with, and she eventually confessed, and they were right. I don't know how they did it. I'm saying that's like one example, but they've been doing that for thousands of years, and it works.
So I'm gonna be honest about something. The norm inside like the African culture is not really the woman stepping out and having a kid.
It's usually the men.
It's usually the men having a kid with another woman.
Right.
Now.
But if a woman
stepped out, what would be in Africa? If a woman stepped out and got pregnant by another man, it would be a secret that they will die with. There is no finding out. Yeah, but there are men too. It's also shame. It's not as much as the woman, but there's also.
So are you saying it's okay though? That's my issue. It's like these women are unintentionally admitting that that's okay to do. I don't like that.
Shame on the men as well that, you know, like, all right, this man had a kid outside of our marriage.
Tell you, secrets come out now, bro.
Really
secrets come out.
There's no shame. These African men have kids here and there and they don't care.
Tell that to the Babalawo. Like, oh, you know, I do know. Oh, your wife has been stepping out on you. And then they confront the wife.
Also, people like to get in people's relationship. I don't like that. Like that cousin telling.
You don't like it, but at times the wife.
No, because you know what it is, family. The thing about it is that.
But are you saying you're okay with the women cheating? Like, look, this one here. She don't like a snitch, but she's literally. I'm just rocking this cursor all over her face because she's irritating. She is literally just saying that I don't like them coming into business, but she's literally saying that she's okay with the woman stepping out, getting pregnant, and lying about the paternity. That's an issue. That says something. And now this one is mad quiet because she didn't realize that she has nothing else to give because they are just destroying everything that she was trying to argue. You dig?
That when family get involved, sometimes it's out of an act of nosiness, and sometimes it's just concern.
Dramatic.
No, but it's like sometimes it's just concern. Like if you got a cousin who's like a brother or sister to you, you looking out for the best of this person. Right. And if you had doubt about the person they've been with from day one,
but sometimes people can be malicious.
Yeah, you're right. But
exactly,
I'm
both sides.
Yeah, that's where that whole trust factor comes in. Now you dealing with a cousin who's been like there for you since day one, and they're like, yo, I have doubt about this person. You feel me? Now
that's none of his business.
It is.
I mean, no, it's not.
That's
oh my God.
I mean, there are stories all the time that you hear about. First of all,
you protect your peoples.
Into it yet. Right. A woman cheating on her man, whether he speculates or it's true, she can easily get sacked out of her house. She'll be shamed. There are times that I've been in Ghana where I've seen a woman walking around the street and she's naked because they're shaming her because of a cheating accusation, let alone kids. So this is a whole big thing. Like, men have kids all the time outside of the house. Women can get stoned to death for just the mere thought, the accusation that happens.
I didn't put them on the same plane.
Now, but I'm gonna be honest. Being stoned to death, we gotta walk around naked, anything like that. I don't condone that type of stuff. That's weird, random craziness. But if you're dealing with traditional values, traditional viewpoints from countries that have their own mindsets, don't play with it. If you know this is a possibility, you better stay on toe, because if I go out here and sell drugs or do whatever, I know prison time coming with it eventually. Whenever I get knocked, it's coming with it. So I'm not going to play with it, period. So the same thing goes across the board. Once again, accountability. Exact accusations is, you can accuse anybody of anything. I need burden of proof. You feel me? So I get where she's coming from. Yeah, that's a horrendous thing to see, period. So we ain't disregarding that. But if you know that these things can happen, you better watch how you move. And you better let sure, and you living in them countries, hey, husband, this is what's going on. Woo, 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 woo. I'm giving you the heads up before anybody say anything. Because we married, I ain't playing them games. You feel me? But let's get back into it.
But I know a lot of women who
like had who husband cheated on them, and they kept that within the family because they knew it would be.
Yeah, it's a shame thing.
Yeah, it's just a shame. That's what I'm saying. I'm not putting it on the same level.
That's not a good thing either.
I know women go through hell with that whole. There's a double standard, especially in Africa. I definitely think it would be a good thing to introduce like the DNA testing in Africa, because like a lot of people do have the assumptions that, all right, married, you know, the trust is there, whatever, the foundation is there, so they feel like, all right, there's no way that she stepped out and had a kid on me. Or even if the wife wants him to do a DNA test because she has speculation some kid might be his, you feel me? Because that's also a big thing in Africa. Yep. The norm in Africa is the men cheating. That's like the big thing. You know, I'm not saying that women don't cheat in Africa, you know, they do, but it's like there's a fear factor that is placed with cheating for the women, so they don't really do it as much as men. And the story, and usually the narrative is that the men are having kids outside of the marriage, or the men are having kids by someone else other than their wife. So that's just like, that's the norm.
Hey, the way women are treated in Africa, as Bridget was saying, how they make them walk in the street naked and all for just an accusation, it's not something that I think will happen that often, that a man is gonna doubt his wife of cheating on him. It'd have to be something so apparent or obvious. There are women that stay home all day with their kids, like out of fear. They don't even cheat because of fear anyway. So what is the point of bringing that when it's not even going to be used?
I hear you, but some women do.
Yeah, but what if you don't have fear?
The reason why I still wouldn't think mandatory would be fair, but there still needs to be some sort of standard of DNA testing there. There isn't one at all. So even if I wanted to get a DNA test on my wife in Nigeria, I'd have to go through courts. I'd have to go through all these different systems that take months and months and months, unless you have bread. Obviously, everything over there, if you have bread, things are done immediately. But even the instances I've seen, the people with bread still had to wait all this time until this person was paid off. That's the system there.
So what is
this person until this person.
And get DNA
We're in America. We're in America. In Africa, they don't have.
Why
in
is the
Africa,
system
they
like
don't have the
so
luxury
drawn
of
out?
CVS.
I get
That's what I'm talking
but
about.
It's like,
how simple the
but
procedure is,
yeah,
but it's
then
not.
It's not
there
that
should
simple.
be.
So
It doesn't make
pharmacies over
sense.
there?
It's like it doesn't.
You don't have pharmacies?
Yes, Jerome, we are aware there's a disconnect, and that's what we're talking about. There is a huge disconnect. Things don't operate as efficiently over there as they do here.
So they don't have pharmacies that sell things
they
like that?
They have pharmacies. Oh.
I'm saying they don't sell things like that.
They do.
Find a DNA test in the pharmacy.
But it doesn't operate as efficiently.
In the village, if you live in a village where you're walking just 10 miles just to
testing
get water,
in
there
an
are no
village,
pharmacies there where you can just walk into the store. You can't even walk into the store to buy water, let alone walk into the store to buy a DNA test. And to mail it where? For it to be tested.
And would you have the money? They're living in the States, obviously, so they're talking about in the U.S. There are luxuries that are afforded to us that these people don't have. And once again, privilege comes in because they just think that everything is readily available. Very disassociated with the realities of other countries that exist in this world.
Also the shame of even asking. A lot of people would avoid that.
Okay, now it's that mail it where? Okay,
like,
get
who
it.
is doing the testing for
and
this?
Then some people are shameful in Africa. They won't even ask, like, oh, hey, can I get a DNA test? Automatically, people like make it. Oh, wow.
Where are you getting a DNA test, bro?
That's a fact, though.
No, I'm saying.
People are like, yo, why would I even do that?
I mean, that's a problem. I think that's what it boils
It's
down
a
to.
mentality problem. Yeah, it's an infrastructure problem too.
So if you living in Africa right now, and you think that your wife cheated on you,
I'm gonna go back to
what is your way of finding out? And you think everybody has the luxury to do that?
That's a problem.
So then what are they gonna do?
We can't say what they would do. We can say
Go
what
to
we would do.
Babalu or whatever he said.
I your pop. I is your pop.
Take care of that kid. Mommy won't kill it.
I mean, in all honesty, I think if we were to make the DNA testing mandatory, it would definitely, help certain scenarios. But I think making it mandatory across the board would eliminate that trust issue that, I'm asking just because I don't trust you. And it becomes more of a natural thing that comes with having a kid. I mean, in all honesty, I think, with government, potentially passing a law to make DNA like a must, I think it works out for the best for everyone, in all honesty, because for a kid, I think the kid deserves to know who's their real mother and father. And if it's something that we start now, it's something that makes it an easier conversation down the road where it's not necessarily about trust, but it's just something that comes as a part of having a kid. I mean, you know, you've already tested the baby to make sure that it's healthy. Why not test to make sure you understand who the parents are? And I mean, I think it's part of having a kid. Even for the kids to know who is their actual mother and father, I think that's important. In terms of, you know, bringing DNA to Africa, I definitely think that we've got to figure out some resources for those that are open for that. And
find resources on getting our electricity not being shut off once a week before we find resources for DNA testing.
Another thing that comes to mind with you saying that is, if there were the resources to have DNA testing in Africa, it would also bridge the gap for people here too, because there's a lot of people trying to make those connections to their families over there.
There you go.
Able to connect the dots, so you wouldn't just assume, oh, I have family in the Congo. Like, oh, I have family that live.
Go check your Ancestry.com.
No, but that's what I'm talking about. The minute you get a DNA test, it goes into the same databases.
So here's the problem with Ancestry.com. I've watched scientists talk about it, things like that. They said women as a whole carry a different genome that exists, and a lot of them match no matter what their race is. They have a lot of matching points, which is why you need the father's DNA to determine the separations between all of them. So for her to say Ancestry.com, that's a fallacy, because there'll be people that be like, yo, I got this, and this, but they know for a fact both their parents black, so on and so forth. So if I do my parents, right, 2 parents, now grandparents 2, now go to their parents 4, you keep going, you keep growing, the numbers get skewed. But because no one knows paternities at times, because women have lied over the centuries, you don't really know what you're really carrying, and the percentages drop over a certain amount of generations. So come on, man. They still making arguments that don't make sense, man. Come on, man. Just stay on toe. These dudes is really talking this knowledge, and they quiet and they listening, but it's just inherent somewhere in them that they gotta fight everything instead of just staying on point and realizing, yo, these cats is really making sense. You feel me? But let's get back into it.
So you're able to connect those dots more, because the people that would normally never ever go through DNA testing are now in the database. So you can now connect the dots for somebody that grew up in South Carolina.
Ooh, she's salty.
To their family in Mali that they never would have known they had without this database connecting the dots. So that's why I think it's cool.
As Africans, we should be worried about, you know, improving our electricity problems and improving the quality of our water. I don't think that, you know, worried about DNA testing is something that needs to be thought about anytime soon.
I know black men don't cheat. I can't really speak for everyone else. People be out cheating. I mean, it's a cheater's world now.
When Tuna and I get there, you know, we'll be faithful.
The status of Jurunde is very copacetic. Everything is normal. I'm at ease. I guess we're just gonna take it as it goes.
Thanks for watching, and if you like,
so thank you so much for watching these 3 parts of Dragon Ball. This nonsense is still going on, but I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Remember, Mena TV, they got plenty of episodes. I'm debating on if I'm going to do any more of their topics. Just let me know what you think in the comment section. But they are right. There are a lot of things going on in the African continent that there are things that they can look at. But never think at one moment that you should bypass knowing the paternity of both parents. That's always something that's very important. So for her to say that and disregard it, that's just a terrible mindset to have. But as far as concern for running water, food every day, shelter every day, yes, that is something that should be discussed and worked through. I'm never knocking that. But to say that they don't need to know the paternity of the children, stupid. But be on the lookout for more videos. We are finally done. Thank you for everybody that's watched all the way through. Much love. I really appreciate all the love and support. All right, everybody. Peace.